guys, Jake Meakin here. Today I'd like to talk about how to solo over one chord and really make it count. And it's something I've been thinking about a lot because I think when you teach how to solo, it's a difficult thing to do anyway, because you can give someone a bunch of scales and say, go. You can teach them a bunch of solos that other people have done and say, go, do your own thing with it, teach them some techniques, etc. But we almost overdo it, I think, and we'll think about a key and a parent scale or mode, and then we'll work diatonically in that key and use our modes as we know them. And that can open up so much of the neck, and we're always having to think about different points of view in the same key using the parent mode. I'm just thinking about working over one chord. We're going to work with A major and try and slot in as many different types of major scales as we know them, and look at how and why they work as well. And really use this as maybe an epic intro part, a great solo section where the focus is really on the guitar line. The guitar line is going to be the thing that changes the melody and the feel of the song, while the chords just stay the same. Let's see if we can start to dive into this. So, we're working with an A major. In that intro there, I was actually working with a Mixolydian flat 6. I was working with a Mixolydian. I was working with a Lydian Dominant. Those are some of the modes of the melodic minor, which we'll get onto later on, which are a bit tricky. But I think if we just start with a major scale, talk about intervals and numbers, and then just change a few degrees and put it over the chord, and we'll see how it works and why as well. So, to start off, we're playing an A major chord. It's all I was playing over in the intro. Just trying to keep a little bit of rhythm to it as well to help me out. Start with just your major scale. We're going to start with our A there, second finger. Fingers 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1, 2. If we go back through that was my fingering template, so we can move that anywhere. If we go back through that and just number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm using the 7 notes of my A major scale. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and back to A there. We're just going to call that 1 to 7 with the 8 on there, and the second octave we'll name the same for today. We're not going to talk about higher extensions of 9s, 11s or 13s. It's kind of irrelevant for this particular session, I think. So I'm working with 1 through to 7, starting again on my A, going back through my octave. Here's how it sounds just working with my A major scale, okay? It's kind of perfect to start. I'm leading to my A still, finishing on that A because it feels right. It's kind of all I've got to work with, right? I'm being quite notey at the beginning here because I'm trying to fill some space. Why don't I just hold back and relax a little bit? I was just going 1 to 2, adding that major third, slide into the 4th and back, adding in that 5th. Really holding on that 2 there adds a bit of tension. And eventually always feeling like I want to fall back to 1. Let's keep going a second. That guy up for a second. So I was kind of always working from my A to my A, filling in some gaps in between. Talking of tension notes, when we think about how a good solo or a good melody should work, it's all about creating a little bit of tension to resolve back to that home note, that home key, which for us is A. So I was hanging on. That 2 there, it kind of wants to return. 5 is always going to be welcome home. 3 and the 4 add melody, kind of floats around there. I didn't touch on my major 7 much. That's going to add a beautiful tension there to resolve back to the 1 there. So I'm really breaking down just that first 1 through to 7, that major scale. And it works beautifully. But let's think about what other types of major scales we know, and we'll relate it back to that original number format, and we're just going to mess around with some of the degrees. So why don't we talk about a Mixolydian mode to start. Now if I was in the key of A, I would usually jump to my E. The 5th degree of my major scale is where my Mixolydian mode would start. But I'm not talking about playing diatonically like that today within our parent key. I'm talking about switching up that A and making that A the Mixolydian now. So because our A chord is built of just a 1, 3 and a 5. That 1, 3 and 5 is going to fit in with this Mixolydian mode dead easy. The Mixolydian mode is made out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. So all we're doing is flattening the 7th degree. So our 1, 3, 5 chord, our major triad, is going to work. There's nothing in there to indicate there's going to be a clash. It's just going to add a slightly different feel. It's going to bring out the dominant sound, maybe like the bluesy sound. Essentially what we're doing is popping a minor note within our to our major chord, and it sounds a little bit like this. So Mixolydian mode, flattening my 7th degree there. If you don't know that, I'm going 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. Originally, my major 7, flatten that, resolve it to A. 2nd octave, starting with the 4 there. 4, 1, 3, 4. Coming up there to fret 5, finger 1, finger 3, 4 for my flat 7, and 1. Lovely little blue tones we can get in this. Let's try it with the chord. I'm going to hover around that flat 7, I'm going to really make the use of it. Bending into it from that 6. Okay, let's try that bottom octave of this. Always rolling back to 1 there, which I think is fine, just creating the tension along the way. Really floating around that flat 7. That bend from the 6. Whenever I hear that, I know we're dealing with a Mixolydian mode. Okay, let's stop it there. Okay, so that Mixolydian mode, you could see me really floating around that top flat 7 there. It does give that feel of real expression. To be able to bend into that dominant 7 and gives us that tone break there between that flat 7 and the 8. We've got a gap of a tone there. I filled it occasionally with a chromatic note back to a major 7 and then back to there, back to my root. All about creating tension with what we've got. So we've covered the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. The Mixolydian mode, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 8, 1 degree flattens there, and it does change up the whole feel there. Remember, all over this one major triad chord. What could we try next? Let's have a go at Lydian. Lydian's great because it really puts a little bit of mystery into the sound. Let's think about the build-up of this Lydian mode, sorry. It's going to be a 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So again, just 1 degree change in there. That sharp 4 though is a lovely little guy. So the Lydian mode would normally fall, if I was playing diatonically in key, on the 4th degree of my scale. I'd normally play a D Lydian mode, but again, we're just talking about A. So that A chord's rolling, the 1, 3, 5. See how the 1, 3 and 5 is going to fit in that 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, etc. scale there, because it's not being impeded by that sharp 4. If anything, that sharp 4 and a 5 is just going to create a bit of tension. Let's check out the scale. Finger wise, I'm going 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. Let's check out the bottom octave again. 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. That's my sharp 4 there. You can hear it sounds quite different already, just that one note. 2nd octave. If I start with my A, right here with finger 4, I'm going finger 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2. Sounds great. let's try it with the chord, shall we? Here we roll. Again, I'm going to hover around that sharp 4 there to really try and demonstrate the change. Sharp 4. Building some nice harmony there. Creating some tension as well. That higher octave there. That tension just screams of emotive playing. So Lydian mode there, 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can see why the chord 1, 3, 5 is going to slot nicely into that. So let's just be aware of one thing here which I haven't mentioned, which I think a lot of you do already, or a lot of all of us do, is we'll play the pentatonic mode over that. We'll hit these. Because that's what we like to do as a guitarist at first. It's quick to roll through it. That pentatonic sound is fantastic. It has maybe even a kind of an Eastern sound. If we just chuck and slide that blues note in. So I've got the sentiment of my major scale, but I'm just sliding around with that blues note in there a second, which relative to this is going to be a flat 3, so we have that minor sound. Let's just quickly have a roll with the major blues over this A chord as well then, alright? Not going too heavy on the blues, just sliding it out. If anything, it just creates some nice chromatic lines. Alright, that's a wrap on that. That pentatonic blues, major blues. Tag on the end there. Alright, so the blues is going to work as well. Again, just thinking about that with the major pentatonic, we're talking just about a flat 3 in there. Because we've got the natural 3 as well, it's going to work with our major chord still. Just be a little bit cheeky with it, don't overdo that blues note, it's going to get a bit clashy. Alright, I want to take this on a stage further today. Already I think you can work with that intermodal changing and playing in there. It makes it so much more interesting for the player and the audience. Even if you are playing in a song which is the key of A major, at least over maybe that epic major build, that chord build over an intro, or for a solo section or a pre-chorus or something, you have the option there to just slip and slide into different modes, and technically, yes, you're changing key, and then the rest of the song can be brought back into that major chord, that major key. And if anything, all this tension you're creating will release and lift for this this big chorus section or something, okay? So it will work within normal play and normal songs. It's not just an exercise over one chord. Okay, so what I'm talking about now, I'm looking down at my notes because this gets a bit confusing. I want to talk about some altered scales. And these scales actually belong to the melodic minor modal system. If you're not aware of that, right now it doesn't actually really matter. It's just think about your major modal system changing one note, and that messes with everything, and that gives us our melodic minor scale and modal system. We're just going to pinch a couple of modes from that today, which I know are going to work, again, just over our parent chord, over our A major. And it works on what we've just previously worked with as well. So we're going to start with a Mixolydian flat 6. So I like this scale because it tells us what's going on. It's a Mixolydian scale, so it's a major scale with a flat 7, as we said earlier. But it's also asking us now to flatten the 6th as well. So we're flattening the 6th degree. Let's see how that sounds. Get a kind of maybe Eastern or Arabic sound to some of that as well. That flat 6 adding that real minor tone into there that's supposed to be like the saddest note, and we're mixing it still with a major 3rd, so you get not a clash but an interesting interval which we don't visit a lot in, I guess, Western music and pop music, even blues and rock and roll. So let's just talk about this scale a second. We've got our 1, 2, major 3rd, 4th, 5th, flat 6 right here, my dominant 7, so flat 7, back to my 8. So the 2 new notes in a flat 6 and that flat 7. Second octave here is going to start on my A here, finger 4. Second, major 3rd, 4th, there's my 5. Flatten the 6 there, and my flat 7, so that line there. That's where those lovely tones come in. So great scale. Let's see how it works with the chord. Let's just double check that though, right? What am I saying to you? We're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. The 1, 3, 5 for our chord, it's going to work just with these higher extensions on there, which are going to give us a bit of play. Here we go. That's just that. Octave, flat 7, flat 6, 5. Sounds great. It's that flat 6. Fantastic. I'm going to stop it there because what I really like about that is the tension in the minor notes there. But then resolving to that major 3rd there. Which is what gives it that kind of Arabic Eastern sound there, which is fantastic. So, the Mixolydian flat 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flat 6 and a flat 7, back to your 8. That's still going to work over your major chord. Even if that's 2, 3, 4 bars of a piece, that's going to turn my head in a bar if I'm watching a band and someone starts chucking in those higher minor notes into that major key. It reminds me of that Queens of the Stone Age or that Radiohead kind of sound where they're manipulating these scales around, be it Tom York's vocal or guitar lines. That's the kind of thing I'm hearing. And that's the type of thing I find interesting because it's slightly different. Doesn't have to last for the entire song, like I said, just a couple of bars. Okay, the last place we could go with this, talking about altered scales still, is going to be our Lydian Dominant. Now let's think about the name of that scale. A Lydian mode, we know, is a major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with a sharp 4. So it's going to be a 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7. But it's also called dominant, Lydian Dominant. That dominant means we're going to drop the 7. So we're talking 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, flat 7, and then our 8. Let's take a look at how that plays. It's our first octave there. Flat 7. Wow, that sounds really harmonic there, doesn't it? my major third, my sharp 4, my 5, my 6, flat 7, and 8. Okay, second octave. My 1 and my 2 and my major third, sharp 4, it's going to pop down here, 5, 6, flat 7, and resolve. You can see this line here is where you can get some real nice lines in there. Alright, let's try with the chord. Hits instantly, doesn't it? Higher octave there still works nicely as well. Let's try that bottom octave. Great shapes out of that. Love that. Okay, just a quick overview on that. I wanted to really do some quick playing with that today and to talk you through what's going on with my intervals as I go. And hopefully you can see the journey from that major scale, which still sounds great, by the way. I'm not saying don't play a major scale over a major chord. That's just what we do, right? But you can alter that, and that really is the word we're looking at today, is the altered scales, where we look at our major scale, look at the chord over it, and think, right, okay, let's not mess with the 1, 3, and 5, because that's what we're using in this chord. What can we do around that? And every idea you have, unfortunately, there's already a scale for that, so you're not going to come up with anything original, but they've got some great names. So what did we look at? We looked at the major scale, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We looked at our Mixolydian mode, flat the 7. We looked at our Lydian mode, sharp the 4. We looked at our Mixolydian flat 6. So that's a Mixolydian with the flat 7, but as instructed, flat and the 6 as well. And we looked at our altered Lydian, our Lydian Dominant, which is a sharp 4 and a flat 7, so kind of combining the last two there. We also added in a little blues note as well, which I think a lot of us do within our playing anyway, to vary things up. But the most important thing is, we've done that over one chord, and I think it sounded great. I think we really brought out some new tones in that, and essentially built other chords around that A major by adding in these altered tones later on. I love it, fantastic. Please, 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 if you like this video, hit that like button, share, subscribe to my channel. There's lots more coming like this. I want lots more practical work like this as well as some of the whiteboard stuff to get some theory in there. Get playing. I'll put a PDF on the bottom with some of the with all the tablature for the different scales in there as well, and I'll probably pop up a quick backing track as well of just an A chord, so you could try it out with this. Thank you so much.